Choose Goose is no luck, especially now that I'm turning dark.
Choose Goose was never meant to be taken seriously. He was loud, goofy, harmless, and easy to overlook in a world filled with monsters, magic, and ancient threats. Every time he showed up,
Good evening, and how you been?
it felt like a break in the story. A strange little moment meant to make us smile before the real plot returned. Which is why his ending is so hard to believe. Somewhere along the way, this silly merchant with his broken rhymes,
Rhymes aren't crimes.
questionable deals, ended up with one of the darkest fates in the entire series. If you weren't watching closely, you might have missed just how far things fell for him. This is the part that catches people off guard. The character we laughed at ended up with one of the saddest stories in the entire show. Before anything went wrong in his life, Choose Goose was mostly just a strange merchant who showed up whenever the story needed a moment of pure weirdness. He spoke in rhymes, ran a cluttered little shop, and sold items that were either useless or overpriced. Half the time he tried to trick Finn into a bad trade, and the other half he tried to convince Jake to give up something ridiculous in exchange for something even more ridiculous.
Need a trade of equal value? I'll take the head of your dog, friend.
Say what?
He wasn't innocent in the sweet or wholesome sense. He was a sleazy salesman, the kind who would pitch you something broken and swear it was a rare treasure. But in a world filled with monsters, curses, and ancient cosmic beings, Goose's brand of trouble never really hurt anyone. His schemes weren't malicious, just foolish, and everyone treated him like the quirky side character he had always been. That was the role he played in Ooh, a moment of silliness. Someone who didn't seem to understand the danger around him and wasn't expected to. He added texture to the world, nothing more. No destiny, no prophecy, no emotional arc. Just a strange bird who popped in, caused small problems, and floated back out again like nothing mattered. Because of that, most people assumed his story would stay simple forever. He seemed like one of those characters who would always be there in the background, rhyming badly and selling whatever nonsense he dug out of a barrel behind his shop. But people like him who float through life without paying attention often don't realize how quickly the world can change around them. And Goose's story is one of those moments where a small bit of carelessness becomes the start of something much larger.
Choose Goose!
Choose Goose's life only starts to unravel when he crosses paths with something far outside his understanding. In Wizard City, he ends up drinking the ichor of Kokentepe, an ancient and deeply dangerous being whose influence twists anything it touches. It was made clear that anyone other than Peppermint Butler could handle Kokentepe's blood, and anyone else would explode and die. Goose never knew what he was dealing with. He wasn't the type to read warnings, question magical liquids, or think twice before trying something strange. He just drank it, the way he did everything, impulsively and with no sense of the danger he was walking into.
Choose Goose!
Abracadaniel was the one who witnessed it. Hearing the explosion, he runs to investigate, but what was left in the dark alley was nothing but feathers. All of us had assumed Choose Goose died here. But at the credits, it's revealed that Choose Goose survived. The change isn't subtle. His personality shifts. His rhymes negative. His behavior became hostile, and he declared himself evil toward the Bufo tadpoles.
Being Choose Goose is no luck, especially now that I'm turning dark.
It's one of the rare times in the series where a character's entire demeanor flips in a way that feels wrong, because it clearly wasn't coming from who he used to be. He was being pulled into something he never wanted to be. Up until then, Goose's rhymes and dealings only ever caused mild inconvenience. Life doesn't always warn us when we're stepping into something dangerous. Sometimes the danger only becomes clear after we're already in too deep. After Kokentepe's ichor, his life moves in a direction he couldn't steer, and everything that follows begins here. Once the ichor takes hold of Choose Goose, It's never revealed what horrors he might have done in his time as Evil Goosey. The show never explains what Goose did while corrupted, but whatever happened placed him on a path toward one of Simon's darkest moments. At this point in Simon's story, he is desperate, unstable, and searching for a way to bring Betty back. Choose Goose ends up caught in the middle of it. Simon captures him, cages him, and uses him as part of a ritual meant he assumed would summon Golb.
Read passage. Reveal path that grab
The portal won't open, you massive fake!
Goose is drained for magic, stripped down, and tortured, treated like a tool instead of a person. Except it's Golb Betty now, so I doubt the past methods would work the same way. And thankfully, it didn't.
We dogged up for real.
What makes this so intriguing but sad to watch is how little Goose understands any of it. Remember, he's possessed. Some people end up paying the price for problems that never belonged to them. Goose didn't choose any of this. He just ended up in the wrong place. And by the time the ritual is over, Choose Goose is gone, discarded forever. Just like that. He began as someone meant to make us laugh, and now he is part of one of the darkest moments in the show, sadly meeting his end in what should have been his prime.
Choose Goose, you're here?
I know, it's weird!
We finally learn where the afterlife placed him, and it wasn't what we all had expected in Together Again. He isn't in a calm realm or a quiet corner of the Dead Worlds. He's in Dead World 1, the place meant for souls considered the very worst. The swamp-like wasteland. The realm of the condemned. Seeing him there is jarring. Goose was never a hero, but he was never someone who meant real harm either. Most of what he did wrong was probably just being a salesman, and events we'll never know of by becoming evil. Yet the system sorts souls based on what they did, not why they did it. And his actions under Kokentepe's influence carry more weight than his original personality did. Even in this environment surrounded by some deserving souls, Goose acts like his old self than the corrupted version we last saw, no longer possessed. Not remembering what he did, he insists he doesn't belong there.
I know, it's weird! Crimes aren't crimes.
He argues. It is almost sad how he tried to explain himself in a place where explanations don't matter. This moment makes something clear about his story. Finding himself here feels especially heavy as we realize the harsh truth. That choices have consequences regardless of whether you meant to do it or not. In the afterlife of Ooh, that would mean living out a long while in a place you'd hate to be in. The tragedy is not just that Goose died in his prime unaware of his evil self. It's that he ended up in a place that never reflected who he really was. All because of one wrong decision that got him possessed and turned evil.
Choose Goose!
In the world of Ooh and in life, intent doesn't erase impact. Even unintentional actions can leave marks that follow us farther than we expect. Even in the first Dead World, Choose Goose doesn't act like someone who belongs there. When Finn arrived, Finn tried to save him, but the other souls started to attack. Choose Goose steps in to warn Finn and help, trying to push Finn out of danger. He simply reacts the way someone would if they still cared about others. And a person like that doesn't deserve this punishment. This small moment of courage is what finally shifts his fate. When Finn and Jake restore the balance of the Dead Worlds, Goose isn't left behind. He moves on to a better realm along with many others, away from the swamp. Except Wyatt, 'cause damn Wyatt.
Wow, look at everyone go. Without Wyatt.
He was an ass through and through. It isn't a dramatic redemption, but it doesn't need to be. It is enough that the afterlife eventually recognizes what we always knew. Goose was never meant to stay in the darkest place. His story doesn't completely end there either. In Fiona and Cake, we meet Pawn Swan, a character who carries the same strange energy Goose once had. He's silly and rhymes just like him.
Get out of here!
It feels like a quiet nod to the life Goose once lived, a small sign that he found another chance somewhere else, even if it looks different this time. A fresh start. Even after everything, life still had room to hand him a new chapter. Let's just hope he doesn't make the same mistake twice. When you look at Choose Goose's story as a whole, the sadness doesn't come from the idea that he was some hidden saint. He wasn't. Goose could be selfish, careless, and willing to make a sketchy deal if it gave him even a small advantage. Most of the time he got away with it because his schemes were small. Most of the time the stakes were low enough that it never caught up to him. His bad decisions usually ended with nothing worse than someone being mildly annoyed. But that pattern also meant he never learned when it was time to take something seriously. He went through life assuming everything was just another harmless bit of nonsense. But that is also what makes his fall feel so tragic. He wasn't prepared for a moment where his choices actually mattered. He pissed off the wrong guy in his schemes, and so was tricked into drinking Kokentepe's ichor.
Choose Goose!
There is a kind of cautionary tale hidden in that, about being unaware of the weight certain decisions carry. Most people rarely set out to cause their own downfall or hurt others. But sometimes all it takes is one reckless moment, one influence that shifts our thinking, or one force bigger than we can handle, and we end up far from who we thought we were, and it completely changes our world before we realize what's happening. Goose never intended to become corrupted. He didn't choose to fall under someone else's control, or to be punished for things he barely understood. But he also never bothered to understand the world he was living in. And in a place as unpredictable as treating everything nonchalantly can be dangerous in its own way. Even Finn has moments where he rushes into things without thinking, and one day that tendency might catch up to him too. Goosey's story sits in that uncomfortable space between intention and consequence. He wasn't good or evil. He was someone who never noticed when the stakes stopped being funny. What stands out about Choose Goose's story isn't just the tragedy itself. It's how easily it gets overlooked and how nonchalantly it all happened. He falls into corruption, gets pulled into someone else's problems, dies in a moment that happened too fast, and the world simply keeps going. Adventure Time doesn't pause for him, and none of the characters ever get the chance to understand what really happened. He just disappears, and everything moves forward. There's something painfully honest about that. Stories don't always stop to acknowledge every loss. People slip through the cracks. Lives change direction without anyone realizing how serious things have become. Some characters and some people fall quietly, but that isn't the end for Goose. He helps Finn, earns his way out of Dead World 1, and eventually reappears in another universe as Pawn Swan, given a life as a second chance. It isn't a dramatic comeback, but it is a continuation, and sometimes that matters more than a perfect ending.
Golden geese!
And maybe that's the part worth remembering. The world won't always pause for our tragedies, but that doesn't mean our story is over.